Well, good morning. So it's been a while. We were away for a month in England, Ireland, celebrating our 50th anniversary. We spent it with friends, great time, great weather. Anyway, I don't want to wait another 50 years to do this again. We'll have to celebrate some more. But the other one is to realize that this stuff really works, the Imago stuff. I don't ask my couples to do anything I don't do, and here we are celebrating 50 years. Remember, we separated after the first 15 years, and then got into the Imago stuff. And again, it's not rocket science. It has to be safe. You want to protect the space between. You don't want to put negativity in there. And couples have to earn a fair chance to have the kind of relationship you really want. Anyway, before we left, I was working my way through the 25 statements in Harville Hendricks and his wife's book, Doing Imago Relationship Therapy in the Space Between. There are 25 statements about what conscious partners know. And I think I'm up to 12 and 13. So 12 says, to prevent episodes of unnecessary pain, suffering, and damage to the relationship before they speak. And 13 is, they need to differentiate so they can move from symbiosis to connecting. Symbiosis is a pretty fancy psychological term, and I'll talk about that. But number 12, to prevent episodes of unnecessary pain, suffering, and damage to the relationship, they need to be intentional and think before they speak. And I think we've all probably heard that admonition, think before you speak, much now as when we were kids. And I tell couples, half of what I do in the office is help them become more conscious, more aware. And I would characterize most relationships, certainly ours was before we started doing the Imago, as unconscious, old brain, and reactive. So, for example, if my partner came on too strong back then, my reactive response was to shut down. If I step back and look at that, pretty counterproductive, but I did it for a long time. And so we're trying our thinking brain to become more intentional. And so if you're in a conscious relationship, it takes intentionality. And part of that shows up by thinking before you speak. Okay? And we've always said that a good rule of thumb is anything negative by appointment only. Don't just attack. It's something we need to talk about. Is now a good time. All right? So if you feel defensive, it's a good time to mirror. Rather than defend yourself, simply mirror back, okay, here's what I heard you say. You're upset at this and this and this. Did I get it? Is there more? Etc. So that was number 12. Number 13, they need to differentiate so they can move from symbiosis to connecting. Now, symbiosis, the Webster Dictionary defines symbiosis as, it comes from biology, the living together of two dissimilar organisms, especially where this is advantageous to both, as distinguished from parasitism, being a parasite. So, although the term originally, comes from the world of biology, where different plants can benefit from the close relationship. In humans, most often it describes a relationship between a mother and a child. The two partners need to differentiate themselves in order to connect. And the way I understand this is that I can live without my partner, and she can certainly live without me. But we've chosen to go in the same direction together, all right? Hence, our relationship is not a symbiotic one. We don't need each other to survive, but or to exist the way a mother and child does, how they need each other. But we've differentiated. We're each who have chosen to connect and go in the same direction. So, what conscious partners know that they need to differentiate so they can move from symbiosis to real connecting. You connect because you want to go in the same direction together. And from an Imago point of view, you know that the purpose of your relationship is really to finish childhood. We're both been out of shape a bit. And so as I meet my partner's needs, she meets my needs. Anyway, glad to be back. Hope all is well. We'll see you next week.